Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whichever time you're tuning in to us from, and welcome to the Truck Around and Find Out podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Byers, the owner of DOT University and Front Range Compliance Services, and we're joined also with Keith Couch with Rush Peterbilt and Rocky Mountain Peterbilt. I guess it's Rush Truck Center and Rocky Mountain Peterbilt.
Correct.
Better say that right.
Yep.
But welcome, Keith. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Ryan?
Oh, I am fantastic. I'm a little tired of this heat wave that we've been having as of lately.
Yeah, and then we don't see any relief till mid next week. So,
oh, is it going to be that long? I've been looking, and then I was like, no, I just got to tune it out. It's just going to have to be hot. I know we had a big garage project over the weekend, and we were working on some stuff out there, and it was 100 degrees in the garage. And I mean, you could just feel the sweat and everything coming down. So then, I know Holly came to me and she's like, we got to put an air conditioner in the garage. So, I don't know if I told you, but she got me an evaporative cooler for the garage. Mm-hmm. And, it's really nice for about 5 minutes when it's blowing right on you. But in about 10 minutes, it's like 100% humidity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this doesn't work. We can't use this. It was really nice thought. And I really appreciate you, Holly. I know you listen to these podcasts, so I do appreciate that. But yeah, I think we discovered it didn't work. So she's dead set on getting the air conditioner out there now, and I think it's a great idea.
Mini split.
Oh my gosh, yeah, little mini split. Just gotta figure out where I'm going to put it, how I'm going to get it in there. And
I've already got plans for mine.
Oh, do you?
And I know where it's going.
Are you going? Are you doing that route?
Yeah.
How big are you going? Do you know like BTUs or anything
Not
like
yet,
that?
but I know exactly where it's going.
Do you? Well, we should get together and compare notes because it's just you just can't work out there right now, and
No, it's hard because I like to go out and work out in the garage when I get home after work, and no bueno.
Yeah, we went through, we put that heater in there, we keep it in the wintertime, a nice balmy 60 degrees, and you go out there, and it's just right. You can wear your hoodie, and you can just go out there and tinker and do what you're doing, and it's great. But right now, it's for the it seems like for the next little bit of future,
it's even hot. Kelly and I like to go sit on our back deck. We got a TV out there and everything, and it's just. When you get home and it's still 95, 96, 97 on the deck in the shade, it's like,
Yeah, it is. It has been a definite heat wave that's been coming through, and then we've been getting some afternoon showers, so that's been kind of nice.
Raises the humidity.
It does. It does. It definitely does.
We don't deal with a whole lot of humidity here, but
we don't. Not in comparison.
Generally.
But I don't know if we asked Redbeard, who still doesn't have his mic up, does it compare to what you went through last week in Arizona?
No.
He says no. I don't know if I can hear him. Yeah, he went out and did 2 yard inspections and 24 vehicles, and he inspected in a day. So he was hustling. Now they were small combinations. They weren't like big truck tractors and stuff like that, but they were he was still hustling to get 24 trucks and trailers walked around and notes taken and parts identified. Did you find some stuff while you were doing inspections that the company needed to repair, or would you report that maybe they did a little bit better?
They've done a lot better.
Okay.
The worst thing I found was just some new drums on an air brake straight truck. But other than that, it was just lights out here, low tire there.
Okay. I would say that, one of the services that we like to do is we like to work on or go out and as we're working on maintenance programs, just do some yard inspections, just see how the fleet's doing, do a little fleet walk. It's amazing what a technician or even a director of safety or their employees could find if they just take time to go walk and actually look at the fleet. How are the drivers doing? How's that pre-trip and post-trip? Get involved, and it also sells the employees because they see you taking that next step and looking. So it kind of makes them, hey, they want to do a little bit better. And this is a company that we've been doing spot inspections and yard inspections there in like 4 or 5 different states. And we've gone out and done a lot of inspections at those places. And we've seen a big improvement, a vast improvement. So from where we first started, there was a few days in the beginning where it was like the entire yard got shut down. And I mean, we're talking like full blown out of service violations that if they were to get stopped, they'd be completely shut down. So it's pretty exciting to go back out and do those inspections and see a vast improvement and kind of where they're going. So kind of makes you feel like, hey, what we've been telling them, and they're
Making a
finally
difference.
listening. They're in our training program. So when a driver goes out there, if they have if they get flagged on their dash cams of an unsafe action or whatever, they have to go back through our trainings online that we have. And I was doing a class and I was talking to him, and one of the guys came up to me and said, "Man, it's finally nice to meet you in person." And I was like, "Oh yeah?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I've seen all your classes at least 3 times." He says, "I feel like I know you personally." I said, "You've watched each one of the classes 3 times?" He says, "Yeah," because he says, if you do something wrong, you got to go watch the training again. I was like, "Well, is it sinking in?" He's like, "Yeah, I think I got a good grasp of it."
You need to get him a punch card.
Yeah, right. It kind of takes you back to that old phrase that you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Well, you can for damn sure hold his head underwater, and he'll take some in eventually.
Yeah,
So
eventually.
I think that's kind of their concept.
Frequent
right
flyer
now.
there.
Oh goodness, but yeah, that was a fun trip out to Arizona that we did. So, well, Keith, what do you got going on? Anything big in the trucking world of Peterbilt?
Well, looks like Peterbilt's about sold out for the year. Rush still has some slots that we can still fill. Cummins had a meeting, and it wasn't anything insider or anything. I mean, there were even big fleets and customers on there and everything. They're going to continue to build the current motor that we have until the end of third quarter.
Okay, so now that's the one that we were saying first of the year, right?
Yeah. So that deadline is now October 1st.
Okay.
So of 2027. So that got pushed back. From a sales standpoint, January 1st breeds urgency in people too. But, in this case, I'm all for it getting pushed back a bit. The feds have not lightened up anything on the emissions front, but Cummins, PACCAR, and I'm not sure. I missed half the class because a customer come in to pick up a truck. So, but it sounds like they are just going to pay what they call the NCPs, the non-compliant penalties. On X15, that means it's going to be about $7,000 to $8,000. They didn't have the exact number, so figure $8,000, and so that'll just get passed on to the customer, obviously.
Yay, huh?
Yeah. So,
From your
trucks
standpoint.
are going up. Just the engine's going to be $8,000 more.
Okay.
And I'm sure Peterbilt have a price increase as well. So, it happens every year. It's nothing. I mean, it's
nothing new.
Nothing new. Nothing we can get around. It just happens. So that's what they will do. And so kind of got pushed back to October 1st would be the new emissions. So anybody that's running trucks or fleets and doesn't want to be a guinea pig, you've got another, 3/4 of a year to keep running what you're running and then make plans to maybe buy a few more before the new engine hits. The new X15 will be, instead of being a 14.9 liter, it'll be a 14.5 liter. And it's a block and an engine they've been running overseas for quite a while. It's a dual overhead cam, and the gear set, your gear train is on the back of the engine, not the front. So there's just a lot of different things. They say it's been tried and true, tested, everything's good on it. And it's like, and Cummins is a good company, good motor, but we shall see.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's good news. Like you said, don't want to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be.
So, yeah.
And then probably the last thing I would have to say, and just kind of let people know, delivering our first auto car yard spotter, terminal tractor is what they call it. So Rush is now a auto car dealer, not all Rush locations.
Okay.
Technically, Greeley is not, but Phoenix is. And I've got a good relationship with the guys in Phoenix. I can get them. And I actually wound up selling the very first auto car that Rush ever sold.
Very cool.
Since putting this together. So,
kudos to you.
Had a customer call and he says, "Hey, here you're an auto car dealer." I said, "We are?" He said, "Yeah, I just got an email, said you're an auto car dealer." And I said, "Okay." He goes, "I want a tandem axle, a bigger one, because he does heavy haul." Mm-hmm. And He said, I just need something for the yard here. And I said, okay. I said, well, let me make some phone calls, and then got into it and everything. And we wound up ordering it, and it just showed up. And it's nice to see a new yard dog, because generally speaking, those things are rats.
They
just
are
beat up.
They're used, they're abused, and they last a long time.
They do.
So I can say I don't think I've ever seen a new one. I've seen a lot of old ones, and I know one time I was at a trailer manufacturer down in Commerce City, and we were doing a walk around and doing some training with them for inspections, and they had their auto car. We went to do the push-pull test, and one of the guys said, yeah, this fifth wheel, it's going to be way over. So we did the push-pull test and checking the pivot bracket pin and the sliders and all that stuff. And I've never seen any movement like that. And they're like, yeah, it doesn't leave the yard. I'm like, well, is it going to hold the trailer? So interesting.
Yeah, so I'll put a video up. I've got a short.
Okay.
Just kind of as it showed up on Rocky Mountain Peterbilt's on YouTube. So Luke, I'll get you the link to the actual video. My detail guy's supposed to be in today. Shouldn't take him long to detail it. It's just a cab, small cab. But it's got a little 6.7 Cummins in it with an Allison. Gotcha. A big 4,000 Allison, small engine. And it's just geared to stay in the yard. And also the nice thing about those is there's no FET on them. The IRS codes specifically call them out. Terminal tractors, 0 FET. So you can license this and put it on highway, and you can run trailers back and forth to a dealer or whatever. Doesn't have to have FET on it.
Just around the area. It doesn't go out on the main highway.
Doesn't go cross state lines, obviously, or anything like that. But yeah, no FET, even though it's over the gross vehicle weight rating for that. So
I wonder if that falls under the driveway towaway operations and some of the regulations because it's manufacturer movements or dealership movements.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure, but Autocar sent me the legislation in the IRS code that just specifically calls them out. That doesn't matter what the GVW is, no FET.
Well, that's pretty exciting.
That's kind of nice. But so if anybody out there has needing yard spotters, yard dogs, holler, because their Autocar, I've been very, very, very pleased with the company on how they interact with me, answer my questions. I had a ton of questions. How do we do this? How do we do that? Their communication's been fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, the first class company.
Oh, very
They do
cool.
a really good job. So
Well,
that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to do something new.
It's cool to hear that you sold the first one, and hell, you didn't even know that you were selling them. That's
hey,
pretty.
here you guys sell cars.
A truck sold itself almost. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's
probably
great.
Not a good way to open up a sales call. As we do.
We do. That's pretty funny. Oh, good. Anything else going on in your world?
Just
Rush and Rocky Mountain Peterbilts.
No, it's things are still kind of quiet. Diesel fuel prices has got people kind of just sitting on their hands.
Yeah, people are a little on the side. Well, I'll mention something about Rocky Mountain Peterbilts. I took time to look at that video of that 7-axle tractor truck that we were talking about.
Oh yeah,
last
the super
week.
dump.
A super dump, and that's
589
that's
super
a
dump.
spectacular looking truck.
Beautiful.
I was I know we put it out on our last podcast, but wow,
it's a good looking truck.
I was blown away, and I laughed because where'd you say you sent that video or that truck to? What state was it going to?
Grand Island. I'm not Grand Island. Grand Junction, Colorado.
Grand Junction. Yeah, it's funny because last week, one of the videos that I was reviewing, it popped and one exactly like it, but different. It must be the same company, but
same company bought two.
Okay. Well, I saw one. I want to say it was like a greenish color, but I could be mistaken. But I saw one go by, and I was like, "Hey, that's the same thing." I wonder if that was the
Those
company.
two trucks are running between Grand Junction and Gypsum.
Okay.
I-70, just back and forth.
Yeah, and it was in that area, so it must be this. It's
Must
got to be the same
company.
company. And I could be wrong on the color. That's just what memory is hitting me. I'll have to remember where that video was at. See if I can send it to you. It just happened to pass in the background, and I was like, "Hey, that's the same one." So
that was a good looking truck.
All right. Well, on news on the compliance front and truck around and find out, I think we could talk about a couple of the big things that have come out. Some articles that I picked up out of Freight Waves. And speaking of Freight Waves, hey, Front Range Compliance Services were on the 1st. So is that tomorrow? I don't know. It's today the 30th or the 31st. I don't even know what. But we're on the 1st of this month. I guess we're releasing on Tuesday. So we're going live with our advertising campaign within Freight Waves, and we've got some ads for DOT University for our top classes, for our periodic inspection training, for qualifications. We've got reasonable suspicion training is releasing on there, and what was the other one? Red Beard, one more class we were talking about, cargo securement. Yeah, those were our top selling classes that we have, and so those are getting ready to go out on a nationwide ad campaign. And then of course our DOT services for our drug and alcohol, so and compliance and stuff like that. So we're super excited for the big Freight Waves release. Do you follow a lot of Freight Waves stuff?
I don't.
And stuff like that.
I should, I guess.
That's where I find a lot of my articles that we talk about and stuff like that, just with what they send out. But a couple things that I wanted to talk about, some big news. I don't think we're going to get totally into the weeds on these, but just kind of things that you should be watching for and be aware of that's going on. And the first one, I'm actually super excited about this one, and that's going to be the staged truck crashes could bring 20 years in federal prison under a new bill. That's the headline of this article. And basically that there's a new bill coming out that's going to make it a federal offense for these people that are causing a crash due to trying to stage an accident in order to get litigation, get some type of a settlement and stuff like that. And it's long overdue, because these people, you get the squatters that jump in front of you and smash on the brakes, try to take an impact from the rear. People are constantly trying to stage these. But this article, one of the things that it brought to light was the fact that down in Louisiana, they actually found one of those attorneys. We talk about the attorneys on the time. You got the billboards and every face on there. And I've been really pushing with my clients, and every time I'm talking to groups, that, if you pay attention to the wording of the ads, it has always been, if you were injured in an accident, call us. And they coined the term ambulance chasers for a lot of these attorneys. Well, now they're truck chasers. If you look at the ads, and right outside our office, when you leave and you exit our office and you go out to 287, when you look back to the south, yes, there's a big red billboard, and it is Frank Azar, the strong arm himself, sitting right there. I see him every day, and it says, it's his big red sign, picture of a truck in the background, big yellow words, truck crash, and that's all it says. Yeah. And they know that they're going to get money. Well,
all trucking companies are loaded.
Well, of course.
They got money running everywhere.
Y'all hopefully can hear our sarcasm here. They are, it's just that, this industry has learned that there's a settlement to get made. Insurance companies are doing everything they can to keep costs down, because it might turn into a huge verdict if it goes the distance. Because what we're seeing in today's day and age with these nuclear verdicts, and if you have not paid attention to what's happened with these nuclear verdicts, you really need to jump onto these, because they're in the tens, 20s, hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's not like it's supposed to be that, the outcome of the trial, that you're awarded, whatever the verdict, whatever it comes out, it's like it's turning into a reward, a verdict. Yeah. So not to say that there are some companies that really do press the line and maybe don't deserve to be shut down by one of these huge nuclear verdicts, but it's affected not just, those companies, it's affecting good companies, that maybe just had a driver that made an unsafe action.
It's definitely affecting insurance rates.
Livelihoods. It's affecting assurance rates, not for everybody, not the affected companies. That impacts all of us. So that trickle down effect, it's going to affect your own auto policy insurance. The commercial policy insurances are astronomical. It's making it impossible for new people to get started. We talk about truck sales. Somebody wants to call you up and say, "Hey, I want to start a truck sale." I mean, you've got your buddy that we both know out there in Rifle. When he started buying those trucks, that makes it kind of hard to come in and say, when the insurance is going to cost me as much as a truck, just to get started, it's going to be absolutely terrible hard to get started. So little things like this, the stage crashes that's going on, this bill, I think that's big news, because we got to get this stopped. They got to put
it's theft from all of us.
It is. It's theft from everybody. It's impacting not only the company, not only the driver, but it also puts other motorists at risk, because that driver, he's a trained professional. And some of the greatest drivers that I see in this world are these truck drivers. I mean, you may see one crazy one going down the road. That does not, that absolutely doesn't speak to everybody. The typical driver in this industry is a stand-up guy. They're professional drivers, man, woman, it doesn't matter. They are straight up doing their job, and they do a great job. But if somebody mashes on the brakes in front of them, that forces them to take evasive maneuvers, okay? And you don't know how you're going to react until you're the one reacting.
Right.
Well, if they swerve, they take out another car, whatever the case could be, all because somebody's trying to stage a crash. So I think it's, everybody talks about it, and drivers talk about how they've had to, they've seen it where people get in front of them and they're jerking the brakes and just doing crazy stuff. So I think that this is great news. I hope this bill goes through and this legislation does in fact pass, that it stops this. But just to bring it up, just one of the things that I thought was really interesting in this article, when it talked about that Louisiana attorney, it was a case involved 31 staged crashes. So this was the attorney himself. I don't know the details on it. Like, was he soliciting people or setting them up to go out and do this and cause this stage crash? But this one attorney, he settled 17 of the 31 fraudulent cases for a total of $1.5 million. So they're not going the distance. They don't want a case like that to go to trial, but they're doing what they can because insurance companies and companies will settle it and we'll just end it. But he got about $1.5 million. His take on it was $358,000, and so it sounds to me like they have gone after him, and as they should. You know what they say is 99% of attorneys give the other 1% a bad name. Oh, yeah, that's true. But attorneys. Oh, geez. But I think that kind of leads me into my second topic, since we're talking about the nuclear verdicts, is there has been another drop of another huge nuclear verdict. So I think the largest one that I'm aware of, and it actually mentions it in this article, was over $900 million. But this one that dropped, it's $601 million. Now, this one I think is very interesting, and I think it's one that you're really going to want to keep your eyes on and kind of see what happens to it. I think it's probably going to have some people running in fear, some corporations, because it is specifically focused on the broker. The broker. Yeah. That's what got my attention. So you said you found you saw it on a YouTube video or saw something pop up? Yeah. And I watched a little bit of that, and I had to take off and go do something else. But it was very interesting that it targeted the broker. Yeah. And from what it sounded like, the broker knew what was going on. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, brokers have this, they've always just kind of been like, oh, no, we're just kind of the middleman. We're not responsible for the actual transportation. So, I think that there does need to be some accountability on the broker side, because in trucking, these guys, especially these owner operators, man, they tie into these brokers because, they got to feed their family. And, back in my young days, I did about 3.5 years of logging when I got home from college, and I learned a lot about trucking, and I've told some of those stories with you and talked about that. But I remember sitting down, I was talking to an old trucker. I don't think he's with us anymore. His name was Bill Knifer. He owned Knifer Trucking, Knifer Transport. He was an old logger. I really enjoyed working with him. I learned he taught me quite a bit, and kind of got me interested in trucking in the very, very beginning. But one of the things that Bill told me, because I was like, man, I should buy a truck. I said, you're doing good. You're making this kind of money, and we're kind of sitting there eating lunch, and they were getting ready to load his truck. And he said, "Look," he says, "there's one thing." He says, "Trucking." He says, "You're married to the truck." He says, he says, "When you're not working, you're working. You're working on your truck." And he says, "No matter what you make," he says, 50% of what you make is automatically got to be cut off and set aside for your truck. And I mean, this was back in the 90s, so I can't imagine what these costs are today. And I mean, his truck was an older truck. I'll never forget. I'd be loading logs on it, and you could see in the back of the cab, and his low air warning device was a flag that would fall down from the windshield.
Called the wigwag.
The wigwag.
The
so
wig-wag.
he had the old wigwag. That's what they called it. That looked like
wig-wag.
a little stop sign. That was
it looks like a little stop sign.
That was his low air warning. But he'd say, he said, you never know. He says, you could lose an engine at any time. You lose this. He says, no matter what you make, half of what you make has to be invested back into that truck. And he says, the other half, he says, the government takes from you. So he says, you're going to be poor driving a truck.
And that's back in the days when you could work on a truck yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he was always working on his truck.
Mechanical.
It was funny because I remember when I think it was 2001 or 2, something like that, when I first got my first certification to be a level 1 certified officer, and I was going through all the pictures and the inspection stuff, and they're teaching that, and I was seeing all the stuff that you're not supposed to do, and I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Huh. I think we might have spliced some airlines like that and we're not supposed to. But, I was young. I was like 20, 19 to 20. I didn't know any better. I was like, okay, I was a farm kid, so it made perfect sense to me. So, but anyways, this stuff that's going on with the brokers, this verdict it's gonna wake them up. I do know, I did see that there's going to be some appeals, of course, on a $600 million verdict. There's going to be appeals, and it's going to have to go the course. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. They're going to start to stretch and to hold everybody possibly that they can accountable. It does sound like through this article, they've tried to reach out even broader to kind of say, well, other people are also included, and there's been some courts that have stepped in that have said no. The providers of the truck, such as dealers and manufacturers, they're not responsible, but they keep pushing everything they can to broaden that vicarious liability. And I would imagine, Keith, that it's going to get to one day they're going to look at you and say, well, you sold old Joe a truck, was Joe really worthy of having a truck? And I mean, they're going to push it. They're going to try stuff like that. Not saying that they'll pass something like that, but
without mentioning any names, there was a accident here a couple of years ago where there was a fatality. I think it was multiple fatalities, and they called the truck salesperson in and had him testify in court that why didn't this truck have all these other safety deals, which are options to us. Mm-hmm. We don't have, the feds don't require them, so a lot of people don't ask for them. Mm-hmm. They don't want to pay for them if they don't have to. Some bigger fleets do, and I think it helps with their insurance. But yeah, and from what I understand, that salesperson just quit. He's like, I'm not doing this anymore. I think it was pretty rough on him. Yeah. And so, yes, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I would imagine. I haven't seen them go after, like somebody at your level, that kind of thing, but they're going to try. They're going to do everything they can. They're going to go after you.
But I'm pretty
we're
low
working
level.
with the company. You are. I'm just saying they're going to try to get, if they can just get a hook, something to grab, and they can get one judge to say, oh, we'll allow this, then they're going to try to set precedent. I don't think they'll ever be successful in grabbing somebody like you.
No.
Me, I'm a little bit more tied to the companies. We could definitely get named, and Lord knows we have to carry the insurance and everything else. But, it's definitely shocking and alarming to see what does go on. And we do, and because we do compliance and work, we do see a lot of rogue companies and stuff like that. And we've had to fire some companies. There's been some stuff that's gone on that we've just had to say, no, I'm sorry, we can't be involved in what you're doing. You're not going to take any steps to truly fix this program and to try to do stuff right. And we're sorry, but we can't work with you anymore. So that does happen. But I have seen it. You mentioned the safety stuff. I have seen some problems and some lawsuits where the company had all the safety stuff, but they weren't using it. They weren't monitoring it. And that got turned into, well, then you were knowingly allowing these unsafe actions. So I guess my biggest thing is, if you have the tools available to you, make sure you're using them so that you're not opening yourself up to more risk in that. But yeah, definitely want to see you, be successful out there in this industry. We need a lot of truck drivers, because, let's face it, everything you see in our background, everything that I own, everything that you own, it's all been on a truck. Before it can come to me, it has to get transported to the places where I got to get it. So I appreciate this industry, and that's why we do what we do. So, well, Keith, on the poker chip front, quick story, because people aren't going to understand the poker chip. Years ago when I met Keith, he introduced himself to me, and he handed me his business card. And his business card, I think I don't know where it's at. I should find it. You handed me your original business card, and it was a John Deere poker chip. And it was pretty cool. And I was like, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. I didn't really think about it. And then, you kind of told me, well, you should get you some of these. So I think I hemmed and hawed on it for probably a couple years. And then I needed to order some, and we were talking about it. And you put me in touch with your guy that does the poker chips. And I ordered poker chips. And I have been through thousands of these. But the poker chip business card is probably one of the coolest things. And I always tell everybody, look, the reason I do a poker chip for my business card is because business cards, they end up in the abyss of business cards. And you're pretty soon you're like, hey, who was that guy? And you're going through your cards trying to remember which one's the right one and that kind of thing. The poker chip, it's like sight unseen. You know exactly who that was. They throw it on the desk. They hand it to their buddies. I get guys say, oh, I need an extra one, so I throw one in my golf bag. And I'm like, cool. Well, then, other people are going to be asking, well, what's that poker chip? I mean, it's great. So I give them out by the thousands. But yesterday I was working with a company called Rely On Trucking. It's owned by Van Short. He's a super great guy. He's an Amazon carrier. I was talking to him about the podcast, and he says he listens. So, shout out to Van. He has got a great organization, but I help him with his a lot of his training with his drivers. I think we had about 45 drivers yesterday, and did some training with the guys. Did some pre-trip, post-trip. Got some really good interaction. Great group of people, very, very cool group. And so as I was leaving yesterday, he walked up and said, here, let me give you my new business card. And he says, thanks for the idea. He says, it works great. And I was like, I told him, so I'd tell him the story about you. I was like, I can't take the full credit. I'm like,
kind of a trendsetter.
Yeah, my buddy here, Keith, he's the one that showed this to me. But we got these poker chips from Van. He's got his company name on there, his name and his email. And then on the back side, of course, his company name and,
very nice looking.
And that type of thing. And his little logo there. He's got, I call it his monster truck. He laughs because I was telling the story yesterday as to how we go out and we watch people, their drivers do inspections. And sometimes we kind of hide in the bushes and watch. And I'm like, not hide in the bushes, creepy like, but just to see, because as soon as they see that we're there, they're like, oh, the DOT guy's here, and everybody kind of starts doing stuff. And so I was telling him about that, and he's like, well, he tells his whole group, and he said, well, just so you know, he says, I also watch. And he says, I might be sitting in the truck that you're inspecting, you watching you, or sitting in the truck next to you, or sitting in a truck in the yard. And I was like, man, everybody's going to know you're here. And he just kind of looks at me. He drives, like, I kid you not, it's like a monster truck. He's got like the dually pickup, it's lifted, it's got everything. When it's in the parking lot, I'm like, the whole world knows you're here. I'm like, well, did you drive an Uber to work that day, Van? Because I'm pretty sure your team's going to know you're in the area. But he's a great guy. We love working with him. He loves my staff. He works a lot with Nicole. And
we need to get him on here.
I did mention that to him, and
that'd be good.
We are kind of an update on that. We are really working on this to focus on this jobs and transportation. We're just trying to get our scheduling because between your schedule and mine, we've been hey, we got to get together to record. We got to do this. So we're trying to get this all nailed down so we can start this this indefinite running series where we're focusing on the different jobs, the different folks in transportation, their story of how they're running. And I mentioned it to him yesterday. especially after he told me he's been listening. And he says he'd love to get on here. So man, if you hear this, we're gonna be contacting you. We'd love to get you on here and hear your story, because you have built a great organization, and your staff, the culture of safety. I mean, it's such a diverse group of people, and they all come together, they all participate, and it was a really good group. So love to hear from him. But hey, good job on the poker chip. It looks
beautiful.
Absolutely great, that kind of thing. So perfect. Well, Keith, do you have anything for Truck Around and Find Out?
I don't today.
Well, I do. I've got.
I see
this is something
classified.
I haven't let Mr. Keith see this yet. I've got the Truck Around Find Out. Put a little classified on there, just trying to have some fun with
Still
this.
a state trooper at heart.
I don't think anything I did with the State Patrol was classified. But with that being said, I'm going to kind of slide this over to you, let you kind of look at this. Redbeard has got these pictures, so I've got them in the order here, and then we'll make sure that you kind of get to see this. But this was my weekend garage project, Keith. We're going to let you kind of go through that little page by page, see what you've got.
Holy crap. That is huge.
I should say that's what she said. So
wow,
we'll have Luke put the picture up in the background so you can see it.
Oh my goodness!
This trailer that they delivered this on, Luke and I, we were out there. We were more interested. They're unloading it. Luke and I are looking at the trailer, going, "Hey, this is it's pretty cool." So this whole trailer, the box slides all the way down to the ground, so it's nice and flat, which I think you'll see in one of the next pictures. The whole box kind of sets down flat so that this is completely flat, so it's nice.
Those trailers are cool.
Nice and smooth, and the axles essentially once
Look at
the
that
box
safe
is flat.
in regards to the size of the guys, and I know Luke will put these up.
So that's Mike. That's my son-in-law right there, Mike Tilstra.
He's what, 6'2"?
He's 6'4". 6'4".
Yeah,
6'4".
That gives you an idea.
That safe is kind of dwarfing him. So 4,000 pounds is what that thing weighs. So now the next picture that you're looking at, where it's coming into that garage door, just kind of puts it in perspective.
Yeah.
Now it didn't fit, so we actually had to open up the header. So we had to roll the door back, make sure it was all the way back on its rollers, and then we had to pull the molding, and we had to pull two before headers out to get it through. And then then we put it all back together once we got it in there. So
wow.
Yeah, it takes up the entire space.
Yes,
so
it does.
I just finished my garage. I had the shelving, the toolbox. I put up all my DeWalt tool. I had one of those cool DeWalt toolboxes. I put up a Gear Tracks wall. It's not Gear, it's the Gladiator series, and I have all that. And I just got everything settled. And now that I moved that in there, I'm now in redevelopment mode. So I've got to get stuff kind of repositioned, get my garage laid out. But I wanted to show that to you today, and I thought it'd be.
I gotta come see.
I thought it'd be pretty cool to show you this way and let you kind of see it.
Use that thing as a safe room.
So we went out. I think I told you we went out to Seaworth Safes. So Seaworth is a Fort Knox dealer in this region. He goes basically. Well, I think he sells California to the Midwest. I mean, he's one of the big sales reps. This safe, he calls it the King Kong. He says he is unable to officially label it that name, so it's called the Goliath, but by his safe company and through Fort Knox. But this safe is specifically developed and designed for his organization only. So, just to give you some specs on it, 94 inches tall, 72 inches wide, 42 inches deep. It's a big
8x6 by almost 4.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. It's a big boy. It's a big boy. It's got mirrors in the back.
Its own weather system.
It's pretty neat. It does have a handle on the inside in case you lock yourself in.
Oh, good.
So that's good. You know, I mean,
okay.
Might have to give the grandbabies all a lesson. Yeah. They're not going to be playing in it. My grandbabies are not going to be playing in the safe. Just joking aside. But it does have that handle on the inside. So if you do get for some reason,
you open that, go to Narnia.
Well, when you open it, it's you got to grab it with two hands to pull that door. First off, I mean the air seal that it makes. So this all came. how this came about was, I've been wanting to build a room in the bottom of my house, in my basement. The problem was my house wasn't constructed that way. So Holly, she found Bill Seaworth. She knew him from the John Deere dealership because he's got this cool little property. He does John Deere tractors from the old ones all the way up to, and then they kind of restore them and sell them and stuff like that. But, so she got me in touch with Bill. We went out there and looked at it. We were looking at a vault door because we wanted to build a room into a vault door. And we went and looked at the vault door. And, I just looked at Bill and I said, look, all it is a really expensive decoration in my house because we could put it in, we can mount it, but all I got to have is a frame and hammer, and I'm going to be able to beat a hole through the wall and go right in around it. So it doesn't make sense to me to do this. And I says, I'd be, saving a whole lot of money just putting a deadbolt on the door, and, keep it as secure as it is. And, and that'd be better than an unlocked door. And so then he's like, well, let me show you what I've got. And he walked us in. We looked at this safe first. So he has 3 of them in his showroom. He's got 3 of them, and there's 1, 2, 3, and they're all right there together. And you walk in, that's the first thing we see. And he's like, this is the King Kong. And then we went around and saw everything. We got to see his personal vault and his collection, and wow, it's pretty spectacular. And then we went and we sat down because we found one that we were looking at. We went and sat down. We looked at it, and I was just kind of like, I was thinking about the garage, and I was like, well, I had these floor-to-ceiling shelves in there that I could move. I'm going to have to move some other stuff around and rethink how I've got this all set up. And I said, let's go back. Can we go back and look at that big one? And so we walked back there to look at that big one. I took some measurements, and I looked at Holly, and I was like, okay, so if I'm going to build a vault in the basement, it's going to cost us a lot more than this, and this would fit in this space, I think, perfectly. And so I was like, I think that's the way to go. So I had that perfect little cubby hole in the back of my garage, and so that's where we stuck it. Wow. So pretty wild. So anyway,
it's cool.
So welcome.
You have to come over and see it.
You and Kelly are gonna have to come over. We sit in the backyard.
Yep.
Maybe when it's just a little cooler, but come on over, check it out. So anyways, fun stuff. All right. Well, with that. Kids.
Toys.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, thank you for what you do and tuning in to us. Make sure you give us a like and a share. Tell people about us. We'd love to grow this channel, and appreciate you taking it up and down the highway. Do everything you can. Keep their shiny side up and stay safe out there. And we'll catch you on one of the next podcasts.
God bless you guys.